Can you stand up from a chair 10 times in 30 seconds without using your arms for help? Or are you already in the 95% who've lost this critical ability that predicts independence versus assisted living? I'm about to reveal 7 specific physical tests that only 5% of Americans over age 65 can still pass. And more importantly, the exact exercises that will get you back into that elite group within weeks, not months or years. The 6th test on this list takes just 10 seconds to perform, but research from Johns Hopkins proves it's the single most accurate predictor of whether you'll still be living independently at age 85 or whether you'll need daily assistance for basic activities. Dr. Sarah Chen, a physical therapist who tests hundreds of seniors annually at a major hospital system, notices a stark and undeniable divide among her patients. The 5% who pass these 7 tests continue living independently, driving themselves wherever they want, traveling to visit family, and maintaining complete autonomy over their lives. Meanwhile, the 95% who fail these tests are on a trajectory toward walkers, wheelchairs, chronic dependence on others, and nursing home admission within just 5 to 10 years. The difference between these two groups isn't genetics, family history, or luck. It's specific trainable physical capabilities that you can rebuild starting today. Physical test 1. The 30-second chair stand. Test: can you stand up and sit back down from a regular dining room chair 10 complete times in 30 seconds without using your hands or arms for any assistance whatsoever? This test sounds deceptively simple until you actually attempt it. And most seniors are shocked to discover they can barely complete 5 or 6 repetitions before their legs give out, their balance fails, or 30 seconds expires. This isn't just about leg strength for the sake of exercise. This specific movement pattern represents your ability to get up from toilets, chairs, car seats, and beds independently, which determines whether you can live in your own home or require institutional care. Research from the Mayo Clinic on the 30-second chair stand test demonstrates it directly measures lower body power and strength that's absolutely essential for maintaining daily independence throughout your senior years. Mayo Clinic researchers followed thousands of seniors over multiple years and found that inability to complete at least 10 repetitions in 30 seconds strongly predicts fall risk, hospitalization rates, and complete loss of independence, requiring nursing home placement within just 3 to 5 years. The test works because standing from a seated position requires coordinated strength from your quadriceps, glutes, hip flexors, and core muscles, plus balance and proprioception that decline rapidly without targeted practice. When these muscles weaken below a critical threshold, you literally cannot stand up without using your arms, which means you cannot use a standard toilet, get out of bed safely, or stand from most chairs independently. Calvin, a 73-year-old retired plumber from Tennessee, could only complete 6 chair stands when his doctor tested him during a routine physical exam. His physician warned him about fall risk, but Calvin dismissed the concern until he fell twice within the next year, once in his bathroom and once getting out of his car. After the second fall resulted in a shoulder injury, his family insisted he stop driving, and Calvin lost the independence he'd taken for granted his entire life. If you cannot complete 10 chair stands in 30 seconds right now, your leg muscles are already too weak to reliably keep you independent as you continue aging, and that weakness accelerates every year you ignore it. Practice chair stands every single day starting today, performing 3 sets of 10 repetitions, using your arms initially, if absolutely necessary, but working progressively toward hands-free stands as your strength improves week by week. Your leg strength is declining right now while you're sitting and reading this, so start rebuilding it immediately today, before you permanently lose the ability to stand up independently without assistance. Physical test 2, the single leg balance test. Can you stand on one leg with your eyes open for a full 30 seconds without grabbing onto anything for support or putting your raised foot back down on the ground? Most seniors cannot balance on one leg for even 10 seconds, yet this simple test reveals critical information about your vestibular system, proprioception, ankle strength, and overall fall risk that directly determines whether you'll suffer a devastating fracture in the coming years. Balance isn't just about not falling over, it's about your nervous system's ability to make thousands of micro adjustments per second that keep you upright when you encounter uneven surfaces. Turn your head quickly or step over obstacles. Johns Hopkins University research on balance testing demonstrates that inability to stand on one leg for at least 30 seconds indicates significantly increased fall risk, inner ear decline, proprioceptive deterioration, and even predicts mortality risk independent of other health factors. Johns Hopkins researchers found that seniors who cannot balance on one leg for 30 seconds have 3 times higher fall rates compared to those who pass this test. And falls are the leading cause of injury deaths in Americans over age 65. The mechanism is straightforward. Single-leg balance requires integration of visual input, inner ear vestibular signals, proprioceptive feedback from your joints and muscles, and rapid muscle activation in your ankles, knees, and hips. When any of these systems decline, your balance deteriorates, reaction time slows, and you cannot catch yourself when you start to fall. Joanne, a 78-year-old widow from Massachusetts, couldn't balance on one leg for more than 8 seconds when her daughter challenged her to try during a family gathering. 3 months later, Joanne fell in her bathroom while reaching for a towel, breaking her wrist and requiring surgery that took months to fully recover from, limiting her ability to drive and care for herself during that entire period. Poor balance is the #1 reason seniors fall, and falls lead directly to fractures, hospitalizations, loss of confidence, fear of movement, further decline, and eventually complete loss of independence. Practice single-leg stands every single day near your kitchen counter for safety, holding the position for 10 seconds per leg initially and gradually increasing to 30 seconds per leg as your balance systems improve. Every single day, your balance worsens, increases your fall risk exponentially. So practice this exact test right now while standing near your kitchen counter or a sturdy wall. Physical test 3. The sit and reach flexibility test. Sitting on the floor with both legs extended straight in front of you, can you reach forward with both hands and touch your toes without bending your knees at all? If you're like most seniors, you probably cannot even reach past your knees, and many cannot sit on the floor comfortably at all anymore due to severe flexibility loss in your hamstrings, lower back, and hip flexors. Flexibility seems less important than strength or balance, but research reveals that muscle and connective tissue flexibility directly mirrors arterial flexibility, meaning stiff muscles indicate stiff, hardened arteries that dramatically increase your stroke and heart attack risk. Harvard Medical School research on flexibility and cardiovascular health shows that the sit and reach test, which primarily measures hamstring and lower back flexibility, directly correlates with arterial stiffness and overall cardiovascular disease risk in older adults. Harvard researchers discovered that seniors with poor flexibility, meaning they cannot reach past their shins, have significantly stiffer arteries, higher blood pressure, and elevated risk of cardiovascular events including stroke and heart attack. The connection exists because chronic inflammation, arterial calcification, and connective tissue changes that stiffen your arteries also stiffen your muscles, tendons, and ligaments throughout your entire body. Poor flexibility also limits daily movements like bending to tie shoes, picking up objects from the floor, getting in and out of cars, and maintaining good posture, all of which contribute to progressive disability. Keith, a 69-year-old former construction worker from Nevada, could barely reach past his knees during a flexibility screening at his gym, but he dismissed it as unimportant compared to his cardiovascular workouts. Within 2 years, Keith suffered a moderate stroke that his cardiologist attributed partly to severe arterial stiffness that went undetected because Keith never had proper vascular testing, and his muscle inflexibility was an unheeded warning sign. Muscle inflexibility directly mirrors arterial stiffness throughout your cardiovascular system, dramatically increasing your stroke and heart attack risk, while simultaneously limiting basic daily movements that keep you independent. Stretch your hamstrings and lower back every single day, starting today, by sitting on the floor with legs extended, reaching forward as far as comfortable, holding that stretch for 30 seconds, and repeating 3 times. Your flexibility is a direct window into your cardiovascular health. And your arteries are stiffening right now, so start stretching today before that stiffness becomes permanent and irreversible. Physical test 4. The timed up and go test. Can you stand up from a standard chair, walk forward 10 feet at your normal pace, turn around completely, walk back to the chair and sit down again in less than 12 seconds total? This test combines multiple physical capabilities, including leg strength for standing, walking speed, balance during turning, coordination, and controlled lowering back into the chair, making it an excellent overall measure of functional mobility. The timed up and go test simulates real-world movements you perform dozens of times daily, and your performance directly predicts whether you can navigate your environment safely or whether you're at high risk for falls and loss of independence. Research from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on Fall Risk Assessment shows the timed up and go test reliably measures mobility, dynamic balance, and fall risk, with performance over 12 seconds indicating high fall risk and strongly predicting hospitalization within the next year. CDC researchers found that seniors who take longer than 12 seconds on this test have significantly elevated rates of falls, emergency room visits, and functional decline requiring additional care. The test is valuable because it assesses your ability to transition between positions, walk with purpose, change directions safely, and control your body through complex movements that daily life constantly demands. When you slow down beyond 12 seconds, it means your neuromuscular system cannot react quickly enough to avoid hazards, catch yourself when you start to fall, or navigate environmental challenges safely. Brenda, a 76-year-old retired secretary from Ohio, took 18 seconds to complete the timed up and go test during a physical therapy evaluation after knee pain. Her therapist warned about fall risk, but Brenda felt stable enough and didn't take the warning seriously. That year, Brenda fell 3 times, with the third fall resulting in a hip fracture that required surgery and months of rehabilitation. Slow mobility means you cannot react to environmental hazards quickly enough, cannot cross streets before traffic lights change, cannot catch yourself before falling, and cannot navigate your home and community safely. Practice the exact timed up and go test every week, timing yourself carefully, and work deliberately to improve your time through daily walking practice and chair stand exercises. Your reaction time and overall mobility are slipping away day by day right now, so test yourself immediately today and commit to improving your time before it's too late. Physical test 5, the grip strength test. Can you squeeze a hand dynamometer, which is a device that measures grip force, with at least 26 pounds of force if you're a woman or 46 pounds of force if you're a man? Most seniors have no idea how strong their grip actually is, and they're shocked to discover their grip strength has declined far below these minimums that predict continued health and survival. Grip strength might seem unrelated to overall health, but decades of research prove it's one of the single most powerful predictors of your total body muscle mass, cardiovascular health, and even mortality risk, more accurate than blood pressure or cholesterol numbers. Mayo Clinic research on grip strength and mortality demonstrates conclusively that weak grip strength predicts future disability, hospitalization, cardiovascular disease, stroke, and early death more accurately than most conventional health markers doctors routinely check. Mayo Clinic researchers found that for every 5-kilogram decrease in grip strength, mortality risk increases by 16%, meaning grip strength is actually a better predictor of how long you'll live than your blood pressure readings or body weight. The reason grip strength matters so much is because it reflects your overall muscle mass and muscle quality throughout your entire body, including your heart muscle. When your hand muscles are weak, every other muscle, including your cardiac muscle, is also weak, which explains why grip strength predicts heart disease and early death so accurately. Vernon, a 71-year-old retired banker from Georgia, measured grip strength of only 30 pounds during a research study screening, well below the 46-pound minimum for men his age. The researchers warned Vernon his results indicated elevated health risks, but he felt relatively healthy otherwise and didn't pursue interventions. Vernon died from cardiovascular disease just 3 years later, fitting the exact pattern the research predicted. Weak grip indicates weak muscles throughout your entire body, including your heart muscle, and it predicts losing your ability to open jars, hold objects safely, use tools, and maintain any form of independent living. Squeeze a tennis ball or hand grip a device 3 sets of 15 repetitions every single day, progressively using firmer resistance as your grip strength improves over weeks and months. Your grip strength reveals your body's overall muscle decline and cardiovascular weakness, so start strengthening it immediately today before the damage becomes completely irreversible. Physical Test 6, the 6-minute walk test. Can you walk continuously for 6 full minutes and cover at least 1,400 feet, which is approximately a quarter mile, without stopping to rest or catch your breath? This test measures your cardiovascular endurance, lung capacity, muscle stamina, and overall functional capacity in a way that simulates real-world demands like walking through a grocery store, airport, or shopping mall. Most seniors cannot walk 1,400 feet in 6 minutes, and many must stop multiple times to rest, revealing severe cardiovascular deconditioning that limits every aspect of daily life. Johns Hopkins research on the 6-minute walk test shows it reliably measures cardiovascular endurance and strongly predicts mortality risk, hospitalization rates, and future disability. Johns Hopkins researchers followed seniors for years after administering the 6-minute walk test and found that those covering less than 1,400 feet had significantly increased risk of hospitalization and death within just 5 years compared to those who walked further distances. The test works because continuous walking for 6 minutes requires your heart to efficiently pump oxygenated blood to working muscles, your lungs to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide effectively, and your muscles to use that oxygen to generate sustained movement. When any part of this system fails, your walking distance decreases, and that decreased capacity predicts poor outcomes across every health measure. Pauline, a 74-year-old woman from Illinois, could only walk 900 feet in 6 minutes when tested by her cardiologist after she complained of fatigue. Her poor performance indicated significant cardiovascular weakness, and within 2 years, Pauline was hospitalized twice for heart failure that dramatically reduced her quality of life and independence. Poor cardiovascular endurance means your heart cannot efficiently pump blood to meet your body's demands, limiting every single activity from grocery shopping to visiting family, leading to progressive isolation, further decline, and eventual complete dependence. Walk every single day, starting today, gradually increasing your duration and distance with a goal of walking at least 20 continuous minutes daily at a comfortable but moderately challenging pace. Your cardiovascular system is weakening with every sedentary day that passes. So start walking further immediately today before your heart permanently loses the capacity to recover. Physical test 7. The floor to standing test. Can you sit down on the floor and stand back up using 2 or fewer points of contact with the ground, meaning you can do it with just your feet or perhaps one hand, but not requiring both hands, both knees, and multiple support points? This elegant test, which originated in Brazil, has become recognized worldwide as one of the single most powerful predictors of mortality risk because it simultaneously assesses leg strength, core stability, flexibility, balance, body awareness, and overall physical capacity in one simple movement. Most seniors cannot even get down to the floor safely, let alone stand back up without significant assistance. Research published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology followed over 2,000 adults aged 51 to 80 and found the sitting-rising test predicts mortality with remarkable accuracy. Participants who needed more than 3 points of contact, meaning they scored 7 or below out of a possible 10 points, had 5 times higher mortality risk over just 6 years compared to those who scored 8 or higher. The researchers concluded this single test captures musculoskeletal fitness in a way that predicts survival better than most conventional health assessments. The test works because successfully rising from the floor requires adequate leg strength to lift your entire body weight, sufficient flexibility in your hips and ankles to maneuver into standing position, balance to control the movement, and core strength to stabilize your trunk throughout the transition. Hector, a 68-year-old man from California, required both hands, both knees, and even pulled himself up using a chair to get off the floor when his grandson challenged him to try. Hector scored just 3 out of 10 on the sitting-rising test, indicating catastrophic decline in multiple physical systems. 4 years later, Hector died from cardiovascular disease, exactly fitting the pattern this test predicted. Inability to get up from the floor without extensive support indicates catastrophic muscle weakness, flexibility loss, balance impairment, and body control deficits that directly predict early death from multiple causes. Practice sitting down to the floor and standing back up every single day, using progressively fewer support points as your strength and control improve, starting with chair assistance if needed, and gradually eliminating all support. This single test predicts whether you'll even be alive in 10 years, so practice it immediately today and commit to improving your score before time runs out. The 5% of seniors who pass these 7 tests aren't genetically superior, incredibly lucky, or wealthy enough to afford expensive interventions. They're simply maintaining the specific physical capabilities that research proves predict independence, health, and longevity. Chair stands measure leg power for standing independently. Single leg balance predicts fall, risk, and injury. Flexibility indicates cardiovascular health. Timed walking assesses overall mobility. Grip strength reveals total body muscle status. 6-minute walking measures cardiovascular endurance. And floor to standing predicts mortality. You can improve every single one of these tests within weeks through targeted daily practice. And it's absolutely not too late to move yourself from the declining 95% into the thriving elite 5%. Which of these 7 critical tests can you pass right now, and which specific one do you need to work on most urgently based on where you're weakest? Comment below with your honest current status on these tests, because I genuinely want to hear where you're starting from, and I read every single comment personally. If these 7 tests opened your eyes to exactly where you stand physically and what you need to improve immediately, hit that like button right now and subscribe to this channel, because my next video reveals the exact 15-minute daily routine that systematically addresses all 7 of these tests simultaneously. Share this video immediately with anyone over 60 who needs to know where they truly stand, because these 7 tests could save someone's independence or even their life by revealing critical problems before it's too late to fix them.